Cesar, this is the first time I've been in your brewery.
Same here. I know we have to do it virtually.
Yeah, no kidding. So tell me about Sketchbook. When did you guys start?
Feels like it's been years, but we started in November.
November. And how are operations going?
It's going pretty well, actually. We're basically doing more than we thought we would be doing now. We're at about 85% capacity. We just had to order a new fermenter.
Really?
So,
oh,
yeah.
that's a great problem to have.
I know. True. That's true.
So tell me a little bit about your equipment. How big is your brew house?
So 7-barrel brew house.
Mm-hmm.
It's right on my right side here, and then what you see behind me is three fermenters in the bright tank.
Mm-hmm.
All 7 barrels as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we're brewing about 1.5 times a week. So once 1 week, twice the next week.
And are you brewing all the beer?
Say that again? Are
you brewing all the beer?
No, heck no. So Sean Decker is my business partner. So we tag team quite a bit. Like yesterday we brewed a batch, and I started at 4 in the morning. He came here at 9. I went to my day job my day job, which is right here in a nice little office that I built there. And he finished it. And we'll do the same again probably Saturday. I'll start really early and he'll finish up.
So basically what you're saying is a 2-man operation.
Pretty much, yeah, because both of us still have our day jobs. And he's actually the one with more of a flexible schedule. I'm here every day, so I can look after the operations. I can, take deliveries. I can see what's going on, make sure everything is running. When we're brewing, we usually pick a day where he's not teaching. He teaches at the Art Institute of Chicago.
Sure.
Well, he's there usually Wednesday, Thursday for the entire day, so he's unavailable when he's not here. And when he is here, he's here the whole day. So, yeah, definitely it's not just a 2-man operation. It's a 2-man and 2-wife's operation. So,
of course.
His wife and my wife are here.
My goodness, they have to put up with both of you guys.
Good thing that so far we've made good beer, because that's what keeps the...
By the way, I can't remember which one it was, but I had a couple of your beers at Pre-Moon, and I thought they were excellent. And there was one in particular that was very malty, and I'm not sure which one it was. It drank almost like a Märzen, and I just thought it was a stellar beer. Okay. Which one was I drinking, my friend?
Well, I feel totally bad that I haven't made it down there yet and brought some of our beer and took some of yours.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Hey, I'm advertising New Glarus today for all the viewers at home.
I see that. Well, I got Sketchbook gear today.
Other than your brewery, it's my favorite brewery. So I'm
just thinking of planning a trip to New Glarus.
Hey man, let's go together. So Cesar, tell me it's been a long, crazy process for you to get Sketchbook going and off the ground. And from what you've said, it's going pretty well. You're at 85% capacity, and things are looking up. You're about to buy another vessel or two. And what if you could name, without thinking about it too much, if you could name one big success you've had and one defeat you've had, what would that be at this point in the process? And I see nothing but successes for you in the future, but surely we've all had our setbacks trying to get into this crazy business.
Oh, absolutely. So I would say the biggest success was there's a couple things, but they kind of all intertwined. I mean, one is we chose a location that is both a big success and also a hurdle, because we're right in the middle of a busy neighborhood. It's a mixed-use kind of zoning, so not typical for a brewery. So we have some issues, but at the same time, we have on any given Saturday we go through 100 150 growlers.
Oh, yeah. That's actually something I'd like to ask you more about. You have a really interesting growler membership. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
You're right. So that's where I was about to say that one of the big successes has been this membership, kind of like the CSA, right, for vegetables. But this is a community-supported brewery, so we're right in the middle of the community. They support us. We support them in many different ways. I mean, we just, I like to repeat what some of our customers say, that they say, I love that there's a brewery in my neighborhood. I can walk a block and get my beer, right? Mm-hmm. So we feel that we provided an awesome business for the neighborhood, just like a coffee shop and a bakery. And the response we've been getting is all the 300 plus memberships we're just about to renew, and there's 150 people waitlisted.
My goodness. So that's going exceptionally well.
Yes, and those are all people that are that pay for a 6-month, 1 fill a month or 2, or a 12-month, 1 or 2 fills a month. And the fills are the 64-ounce growlers or 2 32 ounces. So obviously, almost all of those people are within a mile from here because they feel the connection. So that has gone exceptionally well. We had no idea what to expect when we started the business back in October. Basically, are we going to get 100 people? We got a lot more.
I just want to interrupt you for a second. Strangely enough, I had a couple customers come in the other night, and they're more than customers, they're friends now. I've known them through 4 or 5 different, bars I've worked at, and they wandered in here the other night. They're Evanstonians, and we were talking about beer, as I tend to do, and Sketchbook came up, and they were very excited. They said exactly what you just said about what you do for the community. It's a place to go if they're happy that the brewery exists in Evanston, of all places, the home of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. And here you are making some great beer, doing your own thing in your own time. And I know it's hectic between your day jobs, your day job, and Sean's day job. And, you have families as well, So, but they said exactly the same thing. And they're not even big beer drinkers, but they love the fact that you exist so much that they felt compelled to participate in your growler club. Isn't that kind of a cool thing?
That's great. And precisely that's not just the numbers, obviously, for the business, that's important, but the type of people that I've seen here. Customer, neighbors, number one, the community. But number 2, even more importantly, people that were not, craft beer nuts, which at the very beginning I knew that I love them. I'm one of them. But what I wanted was converts. I wanted people that was like, I don't really know what this is. What is a growler? And we taught them. What is an India Red Ale? And we taught them. What is a dry stout? I never touched dark beers, and they bought a growler. And they came back for another. So that is what I think one of the biggest successes.
Well, absolutely, and these folks I've just mentioned, Bill and Ginny, they're wine drinkers. Bill won't drink beer, but Ginny's a wine drinker, and because of Sketchbook, she's a beer drinker now. She's the one who signed them, said, Bill, we're going to sign up for Sketchbook's growler, club, and I think that's a great thing, and you seem to be doing it very well. Now, how do you see, do you think that would be possible in other communities, or is Evanston particularly well suited for that type of thing?
No, I think it's possible in pretty much every community. Obviously, again, looking from a business perspective, if you have, the more people you have, the more viable the business is going to be. But I think every community, I go back, sometimes I go back to the history of breweries in the United States. We had, over 2,000 of them in the 1820s, and now we've surpassed that, but our population is, 3 times as big. So I do think that you can have a lot more, small businesses, and we're seeing that in, like you guys, right? I mean, a brew pub where you provide, great food, great beer, great atmosphere, small brewers as well. We may not see big, Anheuser-Busch type where people are millionaires, but you're going to see viable businesses, people that love what they're doing, just like any other small business that's out there. I actually do. I mean, one of the things that people ask all the time is, what's the next step? We don't know what the next step is. The next step is to continue making good beer and attracting, great people here. But definitely not going big. I mean, we're ordering a fermenter just because we need to keep up with people coming in here. And we're now serving about 14 Evanston restaurants. And,
really? That in itself was a big success.
Right, exactly.
And to have 14 accounts in one town, that's, and Evanston is a little town. It's a small city, but that's quite a few accounts.
Right, and again, we approach it very carefully because we have the people here, the walk-ins and the CSV members, and we want to make sure we promise them that we're never going to run out of beer for them. Mm-hmm. So, we've been careful in not going out there and trying to sell too much because, as you know from Prairie Moon, I mean, you can go through barrels of beer a week. We can only produce 10 barrels a week.
Yeah.
So, our first city account.
We're selling quite a bit of your beer at Prairie Moon.
That's great. Yeah. Well, it is our favorite. It is our favorite amongst our customers too. Craft beer place.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And for the few people that don't know already, Cesar and I are friends largely because of our participation in the Evanston Home Club. And, all those wonderful that have participated over the years. Most notably, I would say, Ted Perez and Sean Curry, and so many people that we could spend the next half hour listing them all. But I mean, that's and what I think is so great about that, Cesar, is that you and I both came out of that homebrew club, and we both have breweries now. And Josh Gilbert over at Temperance, just a place. Mike Smiley over at Smiley Brothers. So that's 4 breweries right there.
That's very interesting.
Yours is still my favorite, though. Yeah. I do mean that. I laugh when I say that, but that beer, the couple of beers that I've had from you guys were really spot on.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Happy to drink them. I would say the same to those other guys too.
Next hangout.
So you obviously you said that you have a day job. Still, do you ever foresee this becoming your main gig? Is that something that you would enjoy, or do you like keeping it more of a grassroots, more organic community, kind of a sidelight, something that you're participating in, but you still have another career?
No, I definitely do see this morphing into my full-time job or gig, if you will. There's so many facets to the business that I grew up in a small business. My dad, the butcher shop in Brazil. I grew up in that. They still have the butcher shop, and it's still a family operation. I see this being the same thing. With the 2 business owners, Sean Decker and myself, and our families being super involved. Of course, we obviously would love to at some point, have enough cash flow to hire a couple people to help on the more gruesome stuff, so we can concentrate on the business. But there's so much to it, from delivery, from account, nurturing, from creating accounts, from you know it, right? I mean, I don't have to tell you all the details, but we're just I think it's a luxury that we are able to right now, myself and Sean Decker, to keep our day jobs while this kind of gets on its feet. And when it does, I will not think twice to jump. If I don't already have my 2 feet in, I will then for sure put all in. So,
yeah, I think that's pretty interesting because you echoed a lot of my own thoughts and feelings on the subject. I was I'm the son of an entrepreneur, I suppose you could say. My dad owned several small businesses, everything from print shops to laundromats. and he was always a man who wanted to do his own thing in his own time and sort of write his own hours. Now, usually that meant he was working all the time because he worked so hard, but he also taught me that that's not a bad thing. You know, if you can somehow run a business right in a very basic way to serve your community, that was a good thing. And that, it seems to me that that's a lot of what you're saying now. And your partner, Sean, now he's a very talented artistic force. Certainly you could never take that out of him, but do you see your brewery, do you see Sketchbook Brewing satisfying part of his need to be creative?
I do, actually. That's if he was next to me, he would actually say one of the reasons why he wanted to join this venture, if you will, this business, is precisely from to do something in the community, because he's done, as he would explain, he's done art all over the place. He goes to Austria, he goes to Germany, he goes to other states to put together this massive art installations. Chicago as well, but never in Evanston. So this was a way into the community to give something, and the artistic portion of it is, well, we're craft, right? We're artisanal. Everything we do is with that passion of creating something and sharing with other people. So the same way that I would almost guarantee that he would say the same way that he's watching somebody looking at his art installation and smiling and talking to other people. When we see somebody drinking a taste of our beer and buy a growler and talking to other people, that kind of fulfills that same role in some ways. And so yeah, that it's interesting because that art, it can be done within something that seems so different than the art world.
But it's still, people used to tell me before I got into the business that brewing beer commercially is equal parts scientist, chef, and janitor. But now that I've been doing it for a while, I really think it's probably 2/3 janitorial work. But there is that wonderful creative piece of it. And it is, as you say, so wonderful to see a smile on the face of the person just purchased a growler, is happy to have it, taste your beer, and they say, wow, Cesar, Sean, this is great stuff. That's what I love so much about the business. Now, tell me, what about, so we both agree that there's a large portion of the brewing beer is cleaning, sanitation. How does that fit into your sense of what the business does for you? Is that a portion of the business that you enjoy, that you tolerate, that you wish would go away?
So I'll answer with this. I wake up in the morning, the very first thing I do is I wash the dishes. Not because I have to. It's almost, it's kind of like the first thing I do in the morning, and I love doing it. So, yeah, there are times, obviously, you go like, geez, I've been doing this for 10 hours, now I have another 2 hours of cleaning. But not because cleaning is difficult, it's because you're tired already. So, but I actually truly enjoy that part of it as well. It's weird, I know.
I actually find that portion of it to be rather zen. And brewing, it can be very exciting, and especially when you release a beer and as you just said, you see the reactions of your customers or people, your friends who are trying your beer or what have you. But the cleaning, I actually get lost in it a little bit, and I find it to be quite satisfying in its own way. Maybe I'm an oddball, but yeah, you already know that.
I remember my dad. I still remember to this day. My dad, after closing the shop usually by 6:30 or 7 o'clock p.m. It was a complete wash down usually, right? All tiled floors, tiled walls. He would be there basically wiping the water droplets from the walls. Where you would think, okay, let it air dry. Nope, he would wipe every single one. That was the therapeutic, the Zen part of it. He'd be there for another hour or two just checking every single spot. And now, I'm not quite that bad. I definitely going to make sure that, this is what brewing, this business actually provides me, which is very satisfying, because Sean Decker is the same thing, provides us hands-on, this, you're working with your body, you're seeing things, happen. Mm-hmm. It's cleaning, wiping, or preparing your brew day, weighing your ingredients, doing the mash, weighing your chemicals for the water, whatever it is, it fulfills a physical part of the day, as opposed to being on the screen, which is what I do for my day job right now, or being on the phone. So that's definitely very fulfilling in that sense.
And Cesar, what is your day job? I know you know, but for other people who might not.
I have a master's in computer science, and right now I manage a team of engineers in the company that's in Indianapolis. We have actually 3 teams, one in Beijing, one in Manila, one in Indianapolis. I work remotely. I've been with the company for almost 10 years now. And so I do all the management, a lot of customer interaction, a lot of customer calls, making sure their stuff is working. So I'm on my chair, all day on the phone, on the computer.
And that couldn't be more different than doing the hands-on in a small brewery, and that's community-based.
Absolutely.
Is that part of the reason? Is that part of your attraction to the brewing business?
Yeah, it's always, when I was brewing at home, on a Saturday or Sunday, that portion of it was, doing that was kind of like, again, it would take me away from thinking of the problems of the week, that almost never go away. It's not my day job is not 8 to 5. It's always in my head. If there's a problem that's not solved, I go to sleep with it, I wake up with it, and when I'm concentrating on something else, especially something physical like brewing, or tinkering with my equipment and adding a new tank here, fixing a pump there, everything else goes away because I have to pay attention to that. I really have to focus. So,
I'm sure that's very satisfying. I myself can relate. I enjoy that aspect of it. So obviously, I mean, it's obvious to me, and you've won awards, so you are a fine and accomplished brewer already, even this early in your career as a commercial brewer. What are the things that inspire you? If you were to, it's always difficult to say name a favorite, or it's very easy for me to say name a favorite, but it's hard to answer that. What are the things that, about the industry that keep you going? Or do you prefer to act as more of an island, an independent?
It's really hard to pick one favorite. I think if I were to just pick one favorite is the ability to share my creation, our creation here at the brewery with other people. It's basically opening those doors and having people, as simple as it is, taste our product and then like it. But it's more complex than that. I mean, there's more. There's the giving back to the community. We've been really involved, and this is an avenue that allows us to be involved with the community more so than just donating $20 to a cause. We can make a much bigger impact. You probably heard that one of our focus here is being sustainable. We try as much as possible. It's not easy. You have a brewery too. You know that it's water and energy intensive. But we believe that by being in the middle of so many people and providing them with a way for them to just come in with their growlers and exchange that instead of throwing bottles away, and what we do internally at the brewery to conserve water and energy, we feel very passionate about that. So we feel like that's.
Mm-hmm. So you really do sort of come from your father's idea about operating a shop with the community and for the community and taking pride in what you do, it would seem from what you're telling me, I think that's a wonderful thing and an admirable thing. Do you see a future with this community? Do you think it will grow with this community, or do you think it'll grow out of this community? What's your sense of that? You know, I mean, it sounds like a wonderful thing now, but certainly a man like yourself and your partner, Sean, it seems like you've got some real passion for this and would like to do it for a while. How do you see that happening?
Well, I see it a couple of different ways. I mean, just to throw a number out there, I think there's maybe like 10% of Evanston that knows about us, maybe a little more. We still get people here that say like, I live 2 blocks away and I didn't know about you. So there's going to be a growth where we can get more and more people to be interested, and then of course it's going to flatten out. At which point, because we're not, like I think I mentioned before, we don't have any inclination to be huge. I mean, especially where we are. We're going to be a 7-barrel brew house. Sure, we may brew once or twice a day, every day of the week, but that's going to reach a maximum. And I think we would be happy there. That would be great. The next thing would be looking at different locations, different neighborhoods, and maybe repeat the same thing. If we get to the point where we can say, okay, we can repeat this in a different area, and that's a possibility too. But again, everything's still open. That
Oh, that's one, and the opportunities that are open to you as you grow are, I mean, to me as a bison, are very exciting. And Cesar, what are you drinking, my friend?
This is a smoked porter.
Is that one of yours?
This was a recipe that Sean Curry initially made a couple times at his house, and then I took it and we adapted it here. It's good.
I know that beer. He had about half a dozen incarnations of it. First running, second runnings, third runnings, cold running, hot running.
And the hardest part of that was trying to get him to tell me which one was that recipe.
So, yeah, sure. I'll tell you something. Sean is an intense personality, and I do like the guy very much. But the guy can brew beer. I just don't want to call him doctor.
Doctor, yeah, the doctor.
I apologize to all those in the chiropractic industry. But listen, if anyone can crack some bones, yeah, he's one hell of a bone cracker on top of it. One hell of a brewer, one hell of a bone cracker. No, he's a great guy. And I love you, Sean, if you're tuned in.
We were just joking the other day that he could basically just go around and treat all the brewers around.
Oh man, I've got some aches and pains.
We all need exactly. We're carrying this, bunch of like bags all over the place.
Oh my God! That's actually a really interesting niche for him. He could be the chiropractor to the brewing industry here in Illinois. I mean, that's great. So, Cesar, what was my question, Scott, that I was supposed to ask you? Yeah. Listen, we both came from a homebrewer background. Do you have any tips for home brewers or for people who might be interested in getting involved in either home brewing or the commercial end of brewing?
Yeah, make sure.
What happened? that was.
I think the thing is, I think it's a great thing to tell everybody out there, because I think there's a lot of people out there that go like, especially looking at people like you and I, Sean Decker, who's also from the homebrew club, and Josh and Smiley, that these guys look at us and like, I want to do that as well. Well, there's a lot more behind the business than just brewing beer. So it's interesting how brewing beer becomes the smaller part of the business in some sense than everything else that's out there. So just, not discouraging anybody, but make sure you volunteer in the brewery a few times, help out, just to see if really, just to see if that passion is really what you're looking for out there. That said, I love every aspect of it.
I always tell people who want to be my assistant or learn how to brew beer to brew a batch themselves first, all by their lonesome. And when they finish it, good or bad, come see me. Because I think, and not that I love to share what I know about brewing and the brewing industry with people, potential, brewers and commercial brewers. But, a lot of people like to think that you're pushing the buttons on the control panel and you get to drink the beer at the end, but really, it's that janitorial aspect of the job. And not saying that I won't help anyone who asks for it, because I would. Professional, most guys, a lot of guys have more experience than I do. I'd be happy to share what I know. And with home brewers, I'm always happy to, have you come in and learn something if you can, or, or hell, at least mop the floor, because that needs to be done as well. What are your, if you could pick, I don't like these lists myself, but I always preface this question with, don't think so hard about it. Don't overthink it. Name 3 beers that you really enjoy. Not your own. Any 3 that you really enjoy. Don't think too much, man.
Okay. Well, number 1, Tank 7.
Tank 7. Nice. Boulevard Brewing Company out of Kansas City.
Yeah. I'm not thinking hard. I just have a really short memory sometimes.
Thanks, Cesar.
I have to go back to what I've had before. The other one, actually, really, but it's not the thing. It's like the first time I drank one of their beers, I really liked it. And I think it's part of like their process, Definitely.
Well, tell me again what that was. We had a bad connection there for a moment.
Oh no, I was the last one that I said was Zombie Dust. 3 Floyd Zombie Dust.
Oh, Zombie Dust. Sure.
Everybody's gonna say, of course he said that, but it's not. The very first time I drank that beer was one of the things that it created a memory in my head. Now I'll say this: it's not the same anymore. Not because they're brewing differently. It's just the memory is not the same. But it really, when a beer is able to do that to people, that's powerful.
Yeah,
and it did.
Absolutely. My favorite 3 Floyds is not Zombie Dust. My favorite 3 Floyds, if I had to absolutely pick, Arctic Panzer Wolf, love it. Double IPA, or actually going to their core selection of beers. Robert de Bruce, I think, is absolutely perfect as a Scottish ale.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That's very true. Whenever I make my trip back from Indianapolis, I always stop by and get a case of, Robert de Bruce or Zombie Dust, a couple others. It's like it's just a beer that goes well anytime.
So tell me, listen, a lot of people who will see this interview probably know very little about Brazil and the brewing industry in Brazil. Do you have I went to school with beer school with some Brazilians. Wonderful people. Leo, all the best to you, man. But seriously, craft beer is growing rapidly in Brazil. Is there a particular beer from your country that you enjoy, or how do you see that going in the future? Is a possibility that we're going to see some of the Brazilian beers in the American market?
What's interesting about that is I just picked up the Beer Advocate magazine a couple days ago, and there it is, the Brazilian flag, it's on the cover. The Brazilian industry is in the cover.
I haven't got my issue yet.
Yeah, and I didn't read the whole thing yet, but it was basically talking about how Brazil has embraced or is embracing the American craft beer. Not as in the American beers that are making there, but just the college styles, if you will, like the stouts, the bigger stouts, the more flavorful fruit beers. Which, by the way, a little segue there. I mean, Brazil has everything to be probably the best country to brew amazing fruit beers because they just have tons of exotic fruits available to them, and IPAs. Which I grew up in Brazil, moved to the U.S. when I was 18, and it was basically, everybody knows the three major brands in the U.S. was basically that, but similar beers, right? Your American Pilsner type beers, and gosh, Heineken was too strong for some people. Believe it or not. So it's changing. People are adapting. People, my brother's age, he's died 7 years younger or so, and these are the people that are embracing the more flavorful, the beers that they're going to sip for 15 minutes, not chug. And I do think there's a future. I like to call almost everything. Brazil is like a generation behind the U.S., and I think the same applies to craft beer. It's about a generation behind. So think of the 1990s when craft beer was starting to get, up in the U.S. I think that's where Brazil is now. Now, that said, it is much more difficult than the U.S. to start a business. So that's the challenge. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of interest in replicating this in Brazil someday, or be part of Sketchbook, be another company. I still have my family there. But the more I dig in, the more I hear, it's like there's still a lot of hurdles. It might change.
One of the interesting things about the Brazilian beer industry is that in beer school, I had the pleasure of studying with a woman who is the president of the Brewers and Maltsters Association of Brazil, and I may have that wrong. I blame it on this. But I thought it was very interesting that a woman was in charge of such a significant part of the Brazilian brewing community. Is it something where, most of us know that the brewing industry, the craft beer industry, does have opportunities for women, but tends to be male-oriented. Is that something that's a little bit more open to women in Brazil?
I don't really know, but I do see that. What I do believe is that it's changing. It's changing in the U.S., and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be the same in Brazil. But I think I share your thoughts there. It is very interesting that it's a woman is leading that. And again, all I ask is why not?
Why not, indeed?
Exactly.
Why not, indeed?
In fact, if I were to say hands down because my wife, my business partner's wife, they're the ones that have an attention to detail that's beyond mine, and it might just be me, but. So yeah, and this is an industry that, to do well, you need to have a good attention to detail, a good palate. Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Cesar. So before we had some technical difficulties, I wanted to ask you a question. I'm not sure you've heard that question. And my question to you, in summation, in a bust-up Bengal fight, who do you think would win? A man with a pipe wrench or a man with a big rusty saw?
So a man with a pipe wrench or a man with?
A big rusty saw. And just before you answer that, I'll have you know that that very same question was asked of Ralph Nader at one point.
Everything else equal. Just the pipe wrench and the rusty saw.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to have to give it to the rusty saw.
Yeah. You know what? I think Ralph Nader did too. So, what else can I tell you, Cesar? I think we got a few good bits there, and it's up to Scott to edit it down to a watchable version. You know, you're solid gold, dude. You are solid gold.
Well, Phil, we miss you. Like I said before, we miss you up here. We gotta see you more often.
You know, I gotta get out there for homebrew night, and I really, really want to come and see your brewery.
Yeah.
And, you know, dude, I mean, boy, my one gripe with Moxee is that it's so far away from all my friends and family, which, you know, they're all in Evanston. So, but I'll get up there sooner or later. Hopefully sooner. You know.
Well, we're waiting for you with the full glass.
Oh yeah. Me too, brother. So what do we do now, Scotty?
We say goodbye.
Bye, buddy. Good to see you.
Hey,
Cesar, before you go, where are you? Are you still there? Cesar, before you go, you are the very first person we've interviewed, but we're hoping to interview people from all over the Chicago area, their brewing scene here, the Midwest, and eventually, you know, internationally. So I would love to, you know, listen, man, if you have anyone that you might know that might want to do this same kind of silliness with us,
yes.
no, okay?
I might know a few people in Brazil.
Well, yeah, please. And if I have to, you know, listen, my friend Leo's trying to get a brewery off the ground in Brazil. It's been a while since I've talked to him. Maybe he has already, but he's on the list too. So, but you know Brazil far better than I will ever know Brazil. So please let me know, okay?
Absolutely. We'll do.
Okay, well, I guess I gotta say goodbye. So, Cesar, great to see you, man. I miss you, buddy. And my best to all the guys at the Homebrew Club and you know, and Sean and everyone. So I'll talk to you soon, I hope, buddy.
I'll share with them that we had this interview, and then they'll watch it later, I'm sure.
Okay. Sounds good. And you know what you don't know, Cesar, is that I'm not wearing pants.